It's July 17th, 2026, in Shanghai, hours before any politician takes the stage, inside a massive data center packed with humming servers and quiet, invisible power. Here's the question hanging over everything you're about to hear. What if intelligence itself became a public utility, shared by every nation, owned by none? That same morning, Xi Jinping walked onto the World AI Conference stage, greeting world leaders under bright lights along Shanghai's Huangpu River. He calls it a historic opportunity. AI, he says, must never become the exclusive privilege of a few wealthy nations and giant technology companies. Ever notice how the biggest promises always sound generous at first? China pledges training, technology, and computing help for developing nations everywhere. The night before, 29 countries signed on to a brand new body, the World AI Cooperation Organization, headquartered right there in Shanghai. This sounds like a tech conference. But listen closely, and it sounds like something else entirely. A claim to moral leadership over the future? But China isn't the first great power to turn its own strength into a promise for the whole world. Long before AI, there was the ocean. In 1979, America launched something called the Freedom of Navigation Program, quietly challenging any country that tried to claim too much of the sea. American warships would sail straight through disputed waters, never asking permission, quietly proving that no single nation could lock an ocean shut. It sounded noble. Freedom for every sailor, every tanker, every fishing boat on Earth. But whose freedom did it really protect the most? American destroyers, American allies, American trade routes. All of them moved a little safer because the world called this arrangement freedom, not power. Here's the twist worth remembering. America's power became durable precisely because it wasn't described as American power, but as freedom for everyone. Think about that for a second. A tanker heading to Japan and an American destroyer crossing the Pacific, both protected under one single word. That word was navigation. And it made America's Navy feel less like a warning and more like a guarantee shared by the whole world. So remember the story because a strikingly similar one is about to play out again, this time over something far less visible than water. Picture a small toy ship on a table. If someone blocks its path, it isn't free. Move your hand away and suddenly it is. But here's the real question nobody asks. What if that ship never had an engine, a sailor, or fuel to begin with? This is exactly what philosopher Isaiah Berlin called negative freedom. Simply the absence of someone stopping you from moving forward. No one blockades the strait. No one stops the ship from passing through. On paper, every option in the world is open, but an open sea means almost nothing to a country with no ships, no fuel, no trained sailors, and no capital to build any. Now, swap the ocean for something newer. An open AI market might mean just as little to a country with no chips, no data centers, no engineers. This is exactly where China's argument begins, right where America's version of freedom quietly runs out of meaning for the poorest countries. China isn't simply saying developing nations should be allowed to use AI, it's saying they deserve the actual capacity to use it. Servers, models, training programs, technical support. China frames all of it as a road into a future that richer nations built first. For countries priced out of the most advanced American systems, that offer can look genuinely appealing, maybe even like a lifeline. Have you ever been offered something free that solved a real problem instantly? That's the feeling many developing nations are being sold right now. Behind the diplomacy, Huawei unveiled a massive new computing system, the Atlas 950 SuperPod, built without relying on NVIDIA's most advanced chips. According to Huawei's own claims, over 1,000 chips linked together, acting like one giant machine. Though those numbers still need outside verification. It's a striking symbol either way, proof that China wants an AI ecosystem that doesn't depend on American hardware at all. So China isn't giving AI away for free. China is offering a road into AI, one built with Chinese hardware and Chinese institutions. And let's be fair, real benefits are already showing up. Translation tools, disaster warnings, medical help, all reaching places once left behind. And philosophically, China's argument here is stronger than it first appears. Access without ability, it turns out, is barely access at all. Imagine a locked door standing wide open. Now imagine someone standing far away, with no road, no ride, and no key in hand. Is that opportunity really equal? Economist Amartya Sen would say no, and his argument reshaped how the world thinks about fairness. Sen's capability approach asks a sharper question. Not what you're legally allowed to do, but what you're actually able to do. An AI service can be open to the entire planet and still mean nothing without electricity, computing power, money, and technical knowledge. Zoom out even further, and there's an old, painful pattern here. Countries left behind in the Industrial Revolution paid for it for decades. Countries without internet infrastructure fell behind again during the digital revolution. So here's a fair question worth sitting with for a moment. Is it fair for wealthy nations to monopolize the AI revolution too, and repeat the exact same pattern for a third straight century? America's order promised the whole world that no one would ever block the road. China's order promises that more countries can finally travel it. And here's the important part. Both things can be true at once. China wants more global influence, and the AI gap is genuinely real. Hold both of those truths in your head for now, because the next chapter is where they start pulling in different directions. Let's set these two great powers side by side, because the language each one uses to persuade the world is genuinely fascinating. America talks about free markets, open competition, and trusted alliances. China talks about equal access, shared growth, and the global south. But here's the part that keeps this story honest. America isn't just leaving markets open, it's actively exporting its own AI stack too. In 2025, an executive order pushed American chips, servers, models, and software abroad as one complete package, tied together deliberately. So this isn't really a story about an open America and a generous China. It's a story about two competing ecosystems, both expanding, and China isn't fully open either. She insisted AI must always stay under human control, backed by laws and emergency response systems. America promises the world an open road. China promises a vehicle to travel it. Sit with that image for just a second. Now here's the uncomfortable follow-up question, the one this whole story keeps circling back to. Again and again, who actually keeps the keys? Hold that question tight because we're about to test it with a simple, imaginary scenario. No fictional presidents, no invented conflicts, just logic. There's an old idea from philosopher Antonio Gramsci. Real power isn't just force. It's making your own interests sound like universal justice. America never simply said, accept our navy because we're strong. It said, every nation on earth has the right to sail. China isn't simply saying, buy our servers either. It's saying every nation has the right to join the AI revolution too. Watch how quickly this translation happens. American naval power becomes freedom of navigation. Chinese AI infrastructure becomes fair access for all. Neither country is lying exactly, but both are translating raw national interest into something that sounds like a gift to humanity. So here's the question worth asking yourself right now, before we move any further into the story. Who guarantees it, really? A great power becomes truly powerful the moment its national interest starts sounding like everyone's shared, universal justice, not just its own. Keep that translation in mind because next we're going somewhere far more personal. A single imaginary developing country seen up close. Let's imagine a developing country for a moment. No fictional president, no invented conflict, just a nation trying not to miss the AI revolution. A foreign company builds its data center, its medical AI, its school translation tools, and its national storm warning system, all at once. At first, everything genuinely improves. Hospitals move faster. Storm warnings reach remote villages sooner. Public services suddenly feel cheaper and far more efficient. Now, fast forward 5 years, because that's the exact moment when everything about this story quietly starts to shift. One small habit at a time. By now, data is stored in one company's specific format. Local staff only know how to operate that one system, and no other. Switching to any other provider now would cost a fortune, take years, and require retraining an entire national workforce from scratch. Nothing has been switched off. No threat has ever been made. But can this country still make a fully independent choice today? Ask yourself honestly, is this country still using foreign AI by choice? Or has it slowly become unable to function without it? To be clear, this isn't claiming any real country has already lost its independence this way. It's a warning about a structural risk. That risk appears whenever any single country's hospitals, schools, or government depend entirely on one foreign provider's technology, no matter which country provides it. The real problem was never that someone deliberately flipped a switch off. It's that only one single actor ever held that switch. Picture a landlord holding just one key. He's kind. He never raises the rent. He never enters uninvited. But is his tenant truly free? Philosopher Philip Pettit says no. Real freedom isn't just about what happens today. It's about what someone still has the power to do tomorrow. This idea has a name: non-domination. A kind master can still dominate you simply by holding power he chooses not to use yet. There's a related theory too, called weaponized interdependence. A country doesn't need to control every server on Earth to hold real power. It only needs to control the few critical choke points that everyone else must inevitably pass through, no matter which direction they choose. And here's the twist that keeps the story fair. This danger isn't unique to China at all. It applies to America too. American chips, American clouds, and American export rules can act as choke points too, whenever the whole world depends on just one gatekeeper. So the real contest isn't between an open China and a closed America. It's a race to see which ecosystem becomes indispensable first. So let that sink in for a second. Real freedom might require far more than just an open door or even a free ride. So where does this leave us? Not with a simple choice between America and China, but with three conditions any fair AI order needs. First, freedom of access. No country should ever be arbitrarily blocked from technology purely for political reasons, no matter who's in charge. Second, real capability. Every nation deserves actual computing power, reliable electricity, trained engineers, and money to genuinely use that access. Third, non-domination. No single provider should ever hold the unchecked power to arbitrarily change the rules once a country has grown dependent. America promised the world an open sea, but protecting it made much of the world quietly dependent on American power all along. China now promises to share AI itself. If that depends entirely on Chinese servers and updates, has dependency truly disappeared or simply changed hands? So here's the real question to leave you with tonight. An open road with no vehicle, or a vehicle from someone who keeps the keys? That's a wrap for today. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time with another story worth thinking about.